This slidecast presents an analytical review of the literature on student achievement using computer-based technologies. This slidecast was created as a requirement for Education 6610. The purpose of this paper was to present an analysis of the theme of student achievement in computer-based technologies. Student achievement is effective, efficient learning that is attractive. Recent advancements in the web and multimedia technology are changing the way of teaching and learning. The analysis was conducted of 10 sources which were selected from 4 peer-reviewed educational technology journals. The analysis only includes sources with the words student or academic achievement as part of the title. The studies range from 2006 to 2009. No more than 4 studies were included from an individual journal. The studies were conducted in various areas of the world. These included the United States, China, Korea, Turkey, and Israel. They involved male and female university and elementary school students as their participants. The studies were designed to investigate the effects of different types of technology on student achievement. They used different types of technology to investigate this. The studies also investigated the effects of different learning styles on distance learning, as well as the effects of instructional design and management styles on distance learning and their effects on student achievement. The studies included both qualitative and quantitative methods. All 10 studies were conducted in a control group and experimental group situation. 6 of the studies obtained the results from a pre-test and post-test method. The other 4 studies used questionnaires or surveys to obtain their results. The purpose of the analysis was to identify similarities and differences, to identify patterns, and to find common themes. The analysis provides some of the current research regarding the implications of technology use on student achievement, as well as some other individual factors that can affect student achievement while using technology, such as an individual's learning style. 3 themes emerged from the analysis of the 10 sources. These themes include the benefits of stimulation on achievement, the effects of different learning styles on achievement, and the effects of a positive attitude on achievement. One study found that when we interact with computers, we increase our motivation. The primary thrust of the use of games within the domain of computer-assisted instruction is to increase students' motivation to learn. By presenting the learning material in a form that encourages engagement and thereby increases practice. Students were not motivated to learn using the non-stimulating games. Therefore, student achievement did not show any significant increase. Another study found that robotics instruction could stimulate student learning in science and technology. Students were given the opportunity to use robotics kits to help with their lessons. The students who used these kits showed a significant increase from pre-test to post-test scores, while the students who did not use the robotics kits did not show any significant difference between pre-test and post-test scores. Through hands-on experimentation, robots help youth transform abstract science, engineering, and technology concepts into concrete real-world understanding. As a result of using multimedia software in an American history class, there was an increase in student achievement. Multimedia capabilities are unique because both sensory stimulation and user navigation in interactive multimedia parallel students' natural ways of learning. When results from the pre-test and the post-test were reviewed from the control group and the experimental group, it showed that both groups increased their scores. But the experimental group increased their scores by 12.2%, while the control group only increased by 6.1%. This multimedia software was set up so students could move through at their own pace. Another study showed that computer-assisted learning helped improve student motivation and in turn increased student achievement. Students who were introduced to computer-assisted learning had a much better attitude toward learning as well as higher achievement marks in post-test as compared to students who were not introduced to computer-assisted learning. Computer-assisted learning provided student-centered lessons which allowed students to learn at their own using interactive lessons which reinforced what they already have learned. Another study explored the use of technology and their effects on introverts and extroverts. The authors found that introverts and extroverts benefited differently from different learning situations. Students who were classified as introverts did not score as well on reading strategies as extroverts. But when both groups were introduced to the rereading strategy, introverts performed better than the extroverts when giving a learning objectives test. When introduced to video conference-based learning, introverts had higher achievement levels than extroverts. Many students found there was a lack of personal contact between the teacher and students, as well as tension during the lesson. Introverts and extroverts also showed a difference in achievement during lab-based versus web-based learning. Introverts preferred the web-based learning experience as opposed to the extroverts who preferred the lab-based learning experience. The virtual classroom is a place where the participants are active learners and a place where they can build confidence and raise self-esteem. The virtual classroom is a place where no child will feel left behind because teachers are available to help guide students and students are working at their own levels. There is a lack of physical teacher presence within the virtual classroom, but structured computer-based learning environments could indeed make up for the lack of a physical teacher. For the developers of these computer-based learning programs, they need to develop a program that is effective and efficient as well as attractive to the learners. Online learning is also a way to create lifelong learning in our society today. There is a need to not only introduce a strategy to a student during online learning, but also to help the student become more successful. You could incorporate strategy-based instruction. This was found to have a stronger impact on students, creating better achievement results. There was also a correlation between a student's knowledge of technology and their success rate with online learning experiences. The majority of students had a strong technology base, which created a more positive feeling toward the experience and as a result created greater academic achievement in the end. For technology to have positive effects on student achievement, it must be set up differently than traditional classrooms. The technology must provide students with stimulation. When technology is not stimulating to students, the positive effects on student achievement will not take place. Motivation could also be achieved through play for students. Robotics instruction had a positive effect on students because it was like play for them. Multimedia technology can also improve student achievement because it stimulates students through sounds, images, and animation, which allow them to become interactive with the software throughout the learning experience. It is important for educators to keep in mind the different cognitive styles of the learners when introducing different types of technology. Depending on the student and the type of technology introduced, it would affect different students' achievement levels in different ways. Extroverts preferred interactive activities with people, while introverts preferred situations that enabled solitude and concentration. Some students reported using technology to be very stressful. There is a correlation between student achievement in the students who reported feeling this tension and the students who did not. Students who reported feeling the tension performed below the students who did not report feeling tension during the lesson. When distance learning was first introduced, the interaction between teachers and students in this type of environment were very limited. Educators and developers are now looking at how to make online learning as interactive as possible to make the experience as beneficial as possible for as many different learners as possible. Students must be able to discuss with their teachers and classmates in order for learning to take place. With the advances in technology and the availability of web technology today, this is much easier to accomplish. Many of the problems students faced in content area learning resulted from a mismatch between the teacher's instructional approaches and the student's cognitive style. This made teaching subject areas difficult where student interest was low. Technology could help increase student interest and as a result increase student achievement. Technology today can help students move past this rote memorization into more student-centered, hands-on learning experiences. The authors of the study believe there is support for the use of computer-assisted learning and its ability to improve student achievement. They have found correlations between the use of technology and higher student achievement levels. They have also argued that there is a link between student learning style and achievement within the context of different technology use. Optimal utilization of distance learning may ultimately depend on our ability to design distance learning environments that accommodate the needs of students with diverse learning characteristics. Different learning opportunities produce different achievement levels for students with different learning styles. The authors have also argued that students' and teachers' attitudes toward distance learning can have an effect on the overall success of the experience. The learning community helps learners by introducing them to different knowledge and experiences from the different types of learners when sharing within the group. Due to the different learners that can be together in a distance learning environment, there could be great advantages from the learning community. The limitations that were pointed out within the studies were the fact that these studies all had a low number of participants. The results that were obtained within the studies may have been different if the number of participants were larger. The authors also pointed out the fact that the students that were involved in the studies were familiar with technology when they began the study. Maybe the results might have been different if the students who took part in the study were not familiar with technology beforehand. The implications from doing the studies were know your learner when developing technology-based learning tools. Students with different learning styles will react differently to the different components of these technologies. Not all groups will find computer-assisted technology to be beneficial unless cognitive styles are considered. Motivation was another implication to consider. When technology is introduced to help improve student achievement, it is essential that the technology be motivating for the students. The final implication is time. Web-based teaching takes far more time than lab-based teaching. As well, it is more difficult to get students to reach the higher levels of thinking during web-based instruction. This could provide challenges for educators who use technology as a learning tool within the classroom.